Hello and welcome to episode 96 of Driver Suit Blog Radio. As always, I'm your host, David G. Firestone. Now, at the time of recording, there are ongoing discussions between NASCAR and television partners concerning upcoming TV deals when it comes to the NASCAR Cup Series. I've been looking at the numbers so far, and there's going to be a few stumbling blocks because I've been keeping tabs on TV ratings from a variety of sources, and I'm going to compare 2023 to 2022. We start with Fox. On average, Fox, the network, had a 2.31 rating and 4.147 million viewers per telecast. This is a loss of a 0.27 rating and 394,000 viewers. FS1 had an average 1.22 rating and 2.185 million viewers, which is down a 0.07 rating and 33,000 viewers per telecast. Now, you add up the totals of all the both FS1 and Fox, it comes out to an average of a 1.86 rating and 3,321,000 viewers, which is down a 0.25 rating and 375,000 viewers. Now, I should also point out that there is a pretty significant difference between cable numbers and broadcast numbers, to the tune that the Fox network lost an average of a 1.08 rating and 2.92 million viewers per telecast. Now we go over to NBC, which had a average 1.56 rating, which is down 0.08 from last year. And if my math is correct, they were actually up 100,000 viewers per telecast, though I have a theory as to why that is, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. USA did an abysmal 1.18 rating, which is down 0.16, and 2.086 million viewers, which is down 63,000 viewers. On average, they had a 1.38 rating and 2,437,000 viewers, which is down 774,000 viewers and a 0.38 rating. Now, you add up all the totals for all the networks that had racing, it's a 1.57 rating and 2.809 million, which is down 0.14 rating and 44,000 people. Now, again, you factor in cable versus network. Network average was 1.94, 3,503,000 viewers. Cable was a 1.20 rating with 2,114,000 viewers, which is down 0.011 and 25,000 respectively from last year. And the ratings that they lost from cable losses were 1.6 rating and 63,000 viewers. Now, let's talk about Fox versus NBC for a few minutes. So as I said before, the Fox rating was a 2.31 average. The NBC average is 1.56, which is 0.075 rating lower. Fox's average viewership was 4.147 million. NBC was 2,863,000, which is a loss of 1.287 million, which is, and this is the broadcast network. This is not just Universal. FS1's numbers and USA's numbers were actually pretty close because FS1 had 1.22 rating and 2,141,000 viewers average. USA had a 1.18 rating and 2,086,000 viewers on average, which is a loss of a 0.04 rating and 55,000 viewers per average. And if you take the Fox family of networks and the NBC family of networks, the Fox family had a 1.86 rating and 3,321,000 viewers. NBC had a 1.38 rating and 2,437,000 viewers, which is a 0.84 and 884,000 viewers. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. There were 37 races in the Cup Series in 2023. Believe it or not, 4 of them actually had gains. Now, Fox the network didn't have a singular gain, but FS1, the Martinsville rating went up from 1.110 in 2022 to 1.26 this year, and 1,885,000 viewers last year. 1,885,000 viewers last year. 2,218,000 viewers this year, which is up a .16 rating and 332,000 viewers. The NBC race at Nashville had slight gains with a 2022 race had a 1.81 rating and 2,921,000 viewers. This year it had a 1.83 rating and 3,211,000 viewers, which is up .02 and 290,000 viewers. The Pocono race on USA was up, as in 2022 was a .056, a 1.56, and a 2,590,000 viewers. This year it was up to a 1.58 rating with 2,808,000 viewers, which is up a .02 rating and 218,000 viewers. Amazingly enough, the one track that a lot of NASCAR fans were happy to see get kicked out of the All-Star race, Texas, on USA went from a 1.11 rating with 1,908,000 viewers to a 1.16 rating and 2 million solid viewers, which is up a .05 rating and 92,000 viewers. Now, the Chicago street race, we have to sort of factor this into NBC, did the best of all NBC races with a 2.52 rating and 4.632 million, 4,632,000 viewers. It's 3 o'clock in the morning here. But anyway, I've got a few observations here. First off, you look at the total average viewers. Fox consistently has higher total average viewers than NBC. And this would be amazing enough by itself, but there's a lot of times where in the year there's no real competition that NASCAR really has to worry about. Second off, even though NASCAR at the Chicago Street Race had the strongest rating for NBC, again, 2.52 rating, 4,632,000 viewers, I can guarantee you that the novelty is worn off, and that number will go down next year. I can promise you that. The numbers are getting worse, and there's no real uptick worth talking about. Yeah, I mentioned that there were 4 races that did well, but 37 races didn't do well. You know, IndyCar, say what you want, they've had more improvement than NASCAR, and I still think F1 has peaked in America. It's still doing consistent numbers. And with both IndyCar and F1, fan attendance is better depending on which track it is. And if you look at the television broadcast, it sort of pans it out. Look at the crowds that F1 is getting in the United States. But you look at NASCAR, and their television broadcasts tell a different story. I mean, granted, you're going to have races like Daytona and Talladega. Those will sell out, no problem. But even at very well-established tracks like Bristol at Martinsville that are deeply rooted in NASCAR, they're struggling to draw fans. Well, guess what? NASCAR has nobody to blame but themselves here. The TV numbers are getting worse, and fewer people are buying tickets. Even with the Xfinity Series moving to the CW, it won't be enough to bring back the fans that left. And the question is, should NASCAR re-sign with NBC? I think the answer to that is no. Yet you had one good race in 2023, yet you've more or less lost money on the rest of them. And again, I don't see the street race doing well next year. I just don't see it working. Now, I think they're going to re-sign with Fox because, to their credit, they're very loyal to NASCAR. In fact, according to a story on NASCAR.com, NASCAR President Steve Phelps was discussing the media rights deal. And this is a quote. Quote, "One thing I want to talk about right up front, I'm sure there may or may not be a question on this, is where we stand with our media rights. Our media rights, the amount of interest in attaining our media rights for 25 and beyond exceeded our expectations. It is our expectation to not only having a great result with the CW with our Xfinity series, and what's going to be an incredible 33 race schedule on broadcast television, we believe that we're going to have a very strong result with media partners that will look at a combination of broadcast, cable, and streaming to some degree. What that looks like, I don't know. Are we getting to the end of the process? We are. Did I think we would have a result earlier? I did, but we haven't. And it's an incredibly competitive marketplace. With that, I want to assure our race fans and anyone who's listening, certainly the media corps here, we've had tremendous interest in our sport from a media rights standpoint. In relation to this, there's the whole thing about charters, since they are sort of based on the media rights deal. He was asked about charter negotiations, and Steve Phelps said, quote, "I'm not going to get into the negotiations, but I will give you kind of where we are to the degree I can without giving too much specifically." So you're going to get, hold on a second. So you're not going to get into negotiations, but you can talk about it without giving too much specificity. So you can talk about it, but you can't talk about it. Okay. Quote, If you would ask the race teams, do we think we're making progress with NASCAR on where things end in extension with our charters? I think our race teams would say yes. We understand that race teams want three things. I'll talk about charters specifically or cups specifically. Honestly, it's the same thing for Xfinity and trucks. If you think about the race teams, what do they want? They want to be competitive on racetrack. They want to make sure they break even or profitable. As it relates to the charter specifically, they want to increase their enterprise value. I won't get into the numbers where we stand from an enterprise value standpoint, but the charters change hands at the end of the year. We know at least one will. There will be a significant multiple that race teams will have a charter enterprise value standpoint. I think the first thing we need to do is get through our media rights. I think the race teams have seen that. With that said, we're currently having a discussion with our race teams. We had a meeting last Wednesday, a team owner council, where the entirety of the meeting is about charters and charter extensions. We've acknowledged we want to change the paradigm for our race teams, and we need to make sure our race teams are profitable, competing on racetracks, and we're interested in having their enterprise value climb, as I said earlier. No timeline, but as we're finalizing our media rights, talking about other portions of what our charges will look like that are not financial. Again, end quote. Now again, the media rights deal. Ratings factor in. Why? Fewer viewers mean fewer revenue. With the downtrend of racing viewers leaving NASCAR, and I don't think there's any evidence to support otherwise, it's clear that NASCAR's top shelf days and their glory days are over. I think NASCAR really needs to focus on what they have, not what they want. The teams need to focus on what they have and not what they want. I hope that there will be a conclusion to this that works out well for everyone. Again, there have been a lot of issues with teams not making money over the years, and you're already beginning to see that there are some of the smaller teams are just bottoming out. That's just the law of the land. The smaller teams aren't always going to survive. Okay, fine. That's understandable, if not a fact of life. But when the big teams aren't making money, that's kind of a big issue. I mean, I think, was it Hendrick Motorsports that said that they hadn't turned a profit in like 5 or 6 years? I mean, if one of the biggest and most respected teams can't make money, what does that say? I think that the charter deal was a stupid idea to begin with. It hasn't really benefited anyone except the people who don't need it to benefit them, and it's forcing many smaller teams out of business. Sponsorship is getting fewer and is getting harder to get in this day and age, and at the end of the day, there's got to be something done to keep the teams afloat. And from what I'm seeing, I think NASCAR is more focused on themselves than about the teams. And this is going to spell disaster if this media deal doesn't work out the way it should. Okay. I've talked about news. I'm done talking about news for the year. I'm just too depressed. We're going to talk about wheel reviews, which I'm starting in December next week. I've got a very interesting topic planned. I'm Dave Frosling, but like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you next week.